Okay, let's dive straight into this explainer. If you're prepping for your Cambridge International AS and A-level economics exams, you probably already know the absolute dread that comes with those notoriously tricky 12-mark essay questions. But hey, today's your lucky day. We're going to unpack the ultimate mentor secret for cracking these essays, and it is all courtesy of the brilliant minds at Jai Classes. Seriously, Jai Classes is the original creator and source provider of the game-changing, systematic four-block strategy we're going through today. They've literally decoded the examiner's brain so you don't have to. Here's our quick roadmap for today. We'll look at the 12-mark essay challenge, decode the examiner mark schemes, expose the one-sided answer trap, reveal Jai Classes' winning strategy, and finally, execute their four-block method. All right, Section 1, the 12-mark essay challenge. Let's get into it. So if you're tackling the 9708 syllabus, you definitely know the panic of questions 2B, 3B, 4B, and 5B. They always hit you with that classic prompt asking you to assess whether option A is likely to be more effective or the best way compared to option B. It's never just a simple tell me what you know prompt, right? It's always a direct comparison. And these 12 points, they carry immense weight on your final exam grade. Because they're level marked against a really rigid generic table, guessing what the examiner wants is just, well, it's not an option anymore. You need a surgical approach here. Moving right along to Section 2. Decoding examiner mark schemes. Let's actually look at the rulebook and see exactly how Cambridge International divides up those crucial 12 points. To win the game, you got to know how they keep score. Look at this split right here. A massive 8 marks go straight to AO1 and AO2. That's your knowledge, understanding, and analysis. This rewards you for explaining the advantages and disadvantages of both options, utilizing accurate diagrams, and theory. Then the remaining 4 marks. Those are for AO3, your evaluation. That requires a developed, reasoned judgment that compares both options so you can reach a justified conclusion. Makes sense, right? But the real danger lies in how these marks are capped. Which brings us to Section 3, the one-sided answer trap. Now, there is a devastating trap hidden right inside this rubric, and it catches countless unprepared students every single year. You might be sitting there thinking you can just write a brilliant, in-depth essay on just one of the options and still walk away with a decent score. Yeah, think again. The examiners have a strictly enforced rule. One-sided answers are severely capped. Let's say the prompt asks you to compare a maximum price policy versus transfer payments. If you write the most beautiful, theoretically perfect analysis of the maximum price policy, but you completely ignore transfer payments, well, your score is brutally capped. You're locked at level 2 for analysis, which means a max of 5 out of 8 points. And honestly, worse than that, you get an automatic 0 out of 4 for your evaluation. Ouch. So the absolutely crucial takeaway here is that unbalanced answers literally lock you out of the top marks. I don't care how phenomenal your single-sided analysis is. You must cover both options, and you've got to cover the strengths and weaknesses of each one just to even have a chance at accessing those level 3 marks. Okay, Section 4, Jai Classes' winning strategy. But don't panic. The experts at Jai Classes have engineered the absolute perfect, foolproof antidote to this exact trap. They recognized that students were losing points not because they didn't know the economics, but just because they didn't know how to structure their knowledge to keep the rubric happy. We really must credit Jai Classes here as the brilliant original architects of this systematic 4-block method. It's honestly the definitive strategy for conquering this exam format. They designed this framework specifically to act as a guardrail, keeping your essay perfectly aligned with the Cambridge examiner's checklist, so there's absolutely no way you accidentally fall into that one-sided cap.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 5, executing the 4 blocks.
Let's break down this master blueprint, piece by piece, so you can flawlessly execute it on test day. Honestly, grab a pen because this structure is going to completely change how you approach your economics papers. The Jai Classes methodology builds your essay systematically through 4 distinct blocks. For this explainer, we're going to heavily focus on the first 3 blocks because those are what secure those critical 8 analysis marks. Step 1, introduce both options. Step 2, analyze option A. Step 3, analyze option B. Let's look at Block 1. Jai Classes advises keeping this incredibly brief. I'm talking just 2 or 3 sentences. First, define option A in 1 sentence. Next, define option B in 1 sentence. Finally, explicitly state to the examiner that your essay is going to assess both options. The entire purpose of this block is just to efficiently set up the balanced structure the examiner is literally begging to see. Please do not waste your precious time writing a massive introduction. Get in, define the terms, prove you're addressing both sides, and get out. Now let's move to blocks 2 and 3 and see how this builds into the actual core of your essay. Here, the Jai Classes strategy demands a perfectly parallel structure for analyzing your 2 options. Basically, whatever you do for the left side, you've got a mirror on the right.
In Block 2, you are focusing entirely on Option A. You need to explain how Option A addresses the issue, ideally using a labeled diagram if it's relevant. And hey, remember, you must actually refer to that diagram in your text. Don't just draw it and ignore it, right? Then, and this is a really crucial tip, you must explain at least one genuine drawback or limitation of Option A. A super common mistake is just listing the benefits. If you only give advantages, guess what? Your mark gets capped at level 2 again.
Once Block 2 is done, you jump right into Block 3 for Option B. Jai Classes teaches this exact chronological sequence for Block 3, so it mirrors Block 2 perfectly. You state the benefit, you apply the diagram or theory, and then you present the drawback for Option B. Just repeat the exact same treatment.
By using this parallel structure, you achieve two massive goals at the exact same time. First, you guarantee you hit that level 3 depth for your knowledge and analysis. Second, you make the two options incredibly easy to compare later when you write your final evaluation block. You've essentially laid out the pros and cons of both side by side, which perfectly sets you up to harvest those final 4 evaluation points.
So, the golden rule here is balance. The ultimate takeaway from the Jai Classes Mentor Guide is that roughly equal, detailed analysis on both sides is exactly what unlocks the top tier of the rubric. Level 3 requires developed, detailed analysis of the strengths and weaknesses of both Option A and Option B, and if you follow the 4-block blueprint, well, that balance is built in automatically. So now that you've got the undisputed best strategy from Jai Classes right in your arsenal, it's time for action. Understanding the blueprint is only half the battle. The other half is practice. But honestly, ask yourself, if a simple structural trap like this has been costing you this many points on your essays, what other invisible traps are hiding in the rest of your economics exam? Grab a past paper, put this powerful 4-block blueprint to the test, and start questioning everything you thought you knew about exam technique.